Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rollin with my homies. I am your host, Santina Muha. Thank you so much for being here today with us on Outside in Theater. Don't forget to subscribe as you follow along. Today, we have a guest that I have never met in person, which is rare for this show, but it is somebody that I have been cyber stalking for a little while. She has a really great Instagram account, very active, always doing cool things, and always like inspiring me to go out and do cool things, which I think is important. So please, everybody, welcome. She's a speaker. She's a mom. She's a badass bitch. Carrie Knutson. Yay!
Hello. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to finally meet you.
Yes. Nice to meet you too.
This counts as meeting now these days, right?
Officially, yes.
Yeah, I think so. So Carrie comes to us all the way from Utah today, huh? Well, I don't know. Maybe someone's watching here from Utah, so it wouldn't be all the way from them. But you're in Utah. How's that? Utah's beautiful.
It's beautiful. This is a great time of year. It's fall. All the colors on the mountains have changed and they're, autumny and beautiful. And today was a little gloomy and rainy, but the mountains look amazing.
Yeah.
So,
it was gloomy in LA today too. And I love a gloomy LA day. I do.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Have you always lived in Utah?
No, I grew up in the Bay Area of California, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then what made you move there?
So I ended up coming out here for school. I went to UVU in Orem, Utah. Mm-hmm. And there's something about Utah that once you move here, you kind of get stuck and you can't get out, which isn't terrible.
That college or in the first place?
What was that?
What made you choose to go to school there?
It was a good place that my brother wanted to go to. I wanted to go to. We talked about becoming roommates and just getting out of the state but we didn't necessarily want to go to the really well-known schools in the area. So we went to one that was close to one of the well-known schools in the area.
That's so cool. So then you lived with your brother when you were in college?
We lived actually in the same apartment complex, like neighbors. And
oh my God, so fun.
For a little bit. And then he bailed. He moved back to California after the first semester. So.
All right. Well,
yeah,
that's really fun. Are you older or younger or twins?
He's my younger brother. Yeah.
Oh, cute. So that's really cute. And how do you find Utah's accessibility overall, wheelchair accessibility?
It's rough. I mean, I feel like everything's built on a hill, like on the mountain, right? Like, so there's a lot of stairs. There's a lot of ramps that are just kind of steeper than they could be. I think that they're a little bit behind on accessibility. I think they make a little bit of an effort to try and fix it, but I think it's mostly lack of awareness because everything's kind of just built on the mountain. So it's at an angle. But it has been interesting, especially finding like housing and things like that. Everything is a little bit older and this is the first home that I found that I could rent that didn't have stairs at all. So
I know there's so few choices. That's how I felt when I was living in New Jersey, because it's like one of the 13 original colonies. So there's buildings that are so hundreds of years old and they're not going to do anything to them.
So that means they're narrow and tall.
Yeah, right. Like Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Exactly. But okay, so you live in Utah, but you're a beach. You love the beach like me, right?
Yes. The ocean is my healing place.
Me too. And I was talking about that with someone else today. And it's a common bond when it's like one of those, right? It
absolutely.
Is a place that I go when I'm having a very stressful week or month. I'm like, I need to recharge. I need a reset. And I just have to go to the beach and just like reset or something.
Just sit and just,
just circadian rhythm. Is it circadian or is that sleep? You know what I mean?
I don't know, but I feel good about it. Yeah. Just it calms you down.
Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. But so are there beaches anywhere near you? Like fake beaches?
No, there's lakes in the mountains. And so, I love being on any body of water. So especially this last year, I've really kind of discovered paddleboarding and kayaking and that I can do that on my own. And that's been awesome just to be able to sit on the water and chill out.
Well, that's what was inspiring me, looking through your Instagram, you do a lot of activities in nature, which I think is really cool because nature is not always a wheelchair's best friend, but you seem to be finding ways to, buddy up with nature, which I love. And it was making me want to, cause like I've kayaked before and I love it. And there's other things that I saw on your page that I'm like, I want to try that. So, but I did notice you've been to the beach a few times. I don't know if it was lately or if you just posted about it lately, but where do you usually go when you do go to the beach?
So when I go home, I go to Santa Cruz, and there's several places in Santa Cruz that have beach wheelchairs that are available to just borrow. And so that's been really helpful growing up. That was my place. And then I have some really close friends that live in that also offer beach wheelchairs in San Diego. And so those are probably my two go-to places, is visit the friends in San Diego or visit my family in Santa Cruz, and stay as long as they'll let me without kicking me out.
Have you ever gone on an electric beach wheelchair, or do you usually?
No, I want to. I think they'd be super cool.
It is super cool. I recently discovered them. And next time, if you're ever in the LA area, I'll show you this one that I found. It's so cool. Because you can be completely independent on the beach.
I love that idea.
Yeah. It reminds me of, I saw on the gram that you had a picture of you on something that had like tank wheels.
Yeah, it's a track chair it's like track action mobility. It's mostly used for hunting but it's awesome.
Okay, so it's something like that, and they have it for rent, just like you can rent the other chairs for the beach. So
that would be amazing.
But they're not everywhere. And I love them. I love them because I love being able to just take a stroll. I cried the first time because I grew up on the shore. Now I was at the beach all summer, every summer. And that's one of the things, like if I had to get out of wheelchair free card, that's what I would do for the day, is just go to the beach and run around the beach.
Yeah. Go run in the waves and out of the waves. And yes.
Thank you. Because because I pride myself on being independent, and not just pride myself, but I just feel comfortable when I can go here or go there, or I don't want to be stuck. And so as much as I love the beach, I don't love when I'm at someone else's mercy in one of those chairs, I like those chairs.
They're big and they're bulky and they're hard. You can't control them, but I mean, it's like one step closer. Like I just keep thinking someone's going to decide that we're almost there. Like those are awesome, but like, we're almost there.
Yeah, that's the same one I've been using since I was 8 years old. There's been no since I was 8 years old on these beach chairs, but now there has. But we've got to get more of these electric ones out there because they're the answer. Those tank wheels are the answer.
Amazing. Yeah, for everything. Like, and there's the same company that actually let me borrow that chair has one that you can roll your manual chair into, and it clicks you into those tires.
Yeah. Freedom Tracks, right?
Something like that. I don't know, but yeah.
Yes, I'm actually looking into getting them. They're expensive. It's an expensive thing, but I'm an adult now, and I think it might be. If I love it this much, look how excited I am. I think it might be something I might want to get for myself. But I'm in the process of getting a new wheelchair, and it has to be fitted to your chair. So I didn't, put the cart before the horse. That whole thing.
all the adult things.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Well, okay, speaking of adult things, you have a 13-year-old daughter. You're a single mom of a 13-year-old daughter, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why do I love that scenario so much?
I mean, I love it too. I do. It's amazing. She's my favorite human in the whole wide world. She's so fun. We hang out all that. She likes me right now. We have a lot of fun. We travel together. We do fun things. So she's all about the adventures with me. I make her nervous most of the time because I'm pushing myself farther than she thinks I probably should. But she's also been the person with me most of the time when I get myself stuck. But
right.
Yeah.
Is she a good helper?
Oh yeah, she's amazing. She's all the things. She's really tall. So I mean, sitting, we're short. But like if I was standing, I'm 4'9". She's 5'9". So it's fantastic. She does all the tall things in my house.
I love it. But be careful because when she's old enough to do sneaky things, she can just hide everything on top of those top.
Absolutely. But I'll just have other humans do research.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, that's right. And what's her name?
Her name is London.
Oh, beautiful, London. So at what age did you become a single mom with her?
I was 4 months pregnant.
Okay.
So 100% single mom since she was born. I've had sole physical and legal custody, no assistance, just me, myself, and I. Well, I mean, my mom and my family members and stuff like that have been amazing. But yeah, just me and her buddies.
Please tell me about that, because I'm thinking about that same thing. And I'm scared. I'm like a little nervous, of course.
So, I mean, I don't know if you're like this, but when I found out I was pregnant, I was terrified because no one had told me I couldn't have kids, but I don't know that I really ever saw anyone like me have kids. Especially now that we have social media, it's a little bit more common to be like, hashtag wheelchair mom, and you can find a whole bunch. Right. But like, when I was 25, I was looking around and I rarely saw another woman in a wheelchair, let alone a mom.
Yeah.
And so it was really scary. And it took a lot of adapting. There were she's a tough kid, probably because she learned that, like, with newborns, you're always worried that they're going to break. Mine had to not break. Just because we had to figure, how to get her in and out of a crib, how to get her on and off the floor, all these scary things. But I think it made her and I closer. We learned to trust each other, and at a very young age for her. And I felt like a very young age for me. So I think it's definitely the coolest, most wonderful thing I've ever done. And yeah, I encourage anybody to do it. I mean, yeah, it's wicked hard, but.
Yeah. What did your mom think about it? How was your mom like in the beginning? Was she afraid for you, or how did she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing that's cool is that my mom, I can't was never in our vocabulary, right? Like growing up, I have 3 brothers, and they wrestled with me, pushed me around just like any other brothers would do. Nobody treated me soft because I was in a wheelchair. And my family never said like, oh, we can't do that because Carrie's in a wheelchair. They're just like, all right, let's do it. How are we doing this? And figuring it out and adapting. And so while my mom and I were both really nervous, my family was really nervous. It was like, okay, here we go. We're going to do it. And I did live with my mom for the first little while of my daughter's life while I kind of learned, how to get the car seat in and out, how to get her in and out of the crib, how to do all those things. But then, and she's always lived close and she's been an amazing help, but pretty much figured things out and said, okay, I got it. I got this one. So
some of your favorite, you said, you had to figure out ways to pick her up off the floor or whatever. Do you have like any favorite tricks that you were like, oh man, this was the thing?
Yeah. I mean, usually getting her on and off the floor, I called it the Superman. I always made sure that there was a blanket underneath her. So big, small, didn't matter. So I would put her on the floor, by basically like, the stork, like I would hold the blanket like this and just not really drop her, but, set her down. And then when it was time to pick her up, it would just be gathering all the corners and lifting up until she was on my lap. And when she got big enough, she got to where she could sit on my lap and like slide down my legs onto the foot plate and then get down. And she pretty much loved sitting on my foot plate and pushing me around with her feet on the floor, just all over. I just became a jungle gym. So
that's so cute. So do you feel like she adapted quicker than other babies, or, do you feel like there was some of that because she had to sort of learn, because you weren't picking her up all the time? I've heard that from a few other.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that it's twofold, right? Like I think she learned how to adapt really well, and learned how to understand me, like how I moved and the way my arms are. Like just how I'm just different from the other people that she was around. But also I think that there's another part of it where I always had her, like if I'm rolling around, she was in a baby Bjorn or a baby wrap or something, she was held tight to me. And, or even sometimes if I didn't have one handy, I would grab a blanket and just tie her around me, like a rope or something. But I would just keep her tied to me. And so I think there was a part that like now she doesn't like anything that feels insecure. Like she doesn't really love roller coasters. She doesn't. And I wonder sometimes if that's because she was always so, no one ever threw her up in the air. I don't have that ability. Like, babies do that. That's like, or like swing around. And like, I never did that with her. So I sometimes wonder if that has now turned into a young adult that's nervous to do those kinds of things. But now she has people in her life that push her outside of that comfort zone and make her do it anyway.
Right. Exactly. Oh, that's so interesting. I love that. So do you want to talk a little bit about, because so have you been let's talk about your origin story. That's what I usually do. What makes you one of my rolling homies?
So I was born with a muscle disorder called arthrogryposis.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have never heard of arthrogryposis.
It's very rare. It's 1 in every 3,000 births, and there are 400 different types of it. So I have not really met anybody else that looks just like me. It affects, basically it makes your joints contracted. Sometimes it affects people in all their joints, some of their joints. It's a muscle disorder. So it causes weakness where your joints are contracted. So for me, my weakness is mostly waist down. I have really weakness in my shoulders. And so like I can't reach higher than that in my arms. And so I have full feeling, just lack of strength.
And how did you get that diagnosis? Did the doctors know right away that's what it was, or?
Yes. So when I was born, the way my dad describes it is I look like a ball of spaghetti noodles. So my legs were wrapped up around my body, front and back, and then my arms were twisted in them, and they were stuck that way. So within the first 3 days of being alive, they were breaking bones and straightening things out. Basically, the doctors were like, what the heck happened here? They ended up rushing me out of the room when I was born and coming back basically with paperwork that said, she's going to be a vegetable. She's not going to be able to function. If you sign here, we can put her in a state home. It's not your fault. And my parents were like, no, we have no idea what this situation is or what this diagnosis means. But we're going to figure it out. So they ended up finding a specialist at Stanford and taking me there. I think I was 3 days old when I went to Stanford, maybe 4 days old. And I was at Stanford for the first couple months, having surgeries. And then I ended up getting situated with Shriners. But I have had 17 surgeries before I was 12, basically, all straightening out things and trying to get them to work. And all without I'm allergic to pain medicine.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So
you've said to me so far, and that's the one that really was my okay.
So that leads me to tell you how I got my Instagram name, Getagripsis. So when I was 8 years old, I went to a hospital in LA, a specialist in LA that my grandma had found. And he wanted to do reconstructive surgery on my hips, my knees, and my ankles all at the same time. And so when I woke up from surgery, I was in insane amounts of pain and screaming. I mean, you can imagine an 8-year-old girl, I was losing my mind. Nurses were trying to calm me down. They couldn't get me. I was just completely out of control. And my doctor, I wish I could remember his last name, Dr. Joe, came in my room and he grabbed me by the face and he yelled, get a grip. And I startled and I, was like, what the hell? I mean, I don't think I said hell as an 8-year-old, but I'm sure I wanted to. And, and he was like, listen, I can't give you anything for pain. So it's up to you. You can put a smile on your face and you can get through it and we can figure this out, or you can sit here and cry and make it worse. You make the choice. And that has been the thing that has stayed in my brain my whole life.
That's a tough doctor to an 8-year-old, huh? Woo.
Yeah. But absolutely what I needed in that moment. I mean, he was the only human that could get me, my parents had tried, my grandma had tried to get me out of that moment. And he was the one that snapped me out of it. And then it's just kind of replayed in my brain. Like, okay, yeah, I gotta get a grip. Like I gotta chill out. I can handle it.
Yeah. I had a doctor when I was in the hospital and I had an accident when I was 6. And he also approached things with a little bit of tough love. And there was Dr. Andrew Boyarsky. And I also remember that sort of the way he approached me. And, I loved all the nurses that coddled me too. But sometimes you need a little smack on the...
Absolutely.
Yeah, but not these days.
Not no, but something to just like shake you up a little bit and get you out of that moment. I mean,
yeah,
it was exactly what I needed.
So, okay. So now what are alternatives for pain medicine though? Is there anything besides, mental pump ups?
Tylenol. I mean, really Tylenol is the most I can take.
Have you
heat and ice?
What did you say?
Heat and ice.
Heat and ice. Okay. Do you drink alcohol?
I drink wine.
Okay.
I would say that, yeah, that can, if I'm because I experience chronic pain. And so I would say that, a glass of wine can calm my body down if I'm in pain or something like that. But
or CBD, have you tried that?
Yeah. And I think the kind of pain that I experience is it's just a little strong for that, but.
I hear you. Wow. Well, geez. Okay. That's tough. That is on top of everything come on. Oh my God. But okay. So I saw on your Instagram, right, on Getagripsis, which just has so much good stuff. And I want to talk more about the activities that you do. But before we talk about that, I want to ask you about your weight loss journey because you document that as well. And now I realize you had elective surgery for that as well with no pain medicine, but that's it's just something I'll never get over. So, okay. So can we talk about that a little bit? Yeah, please.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think my daughter was let me think about it. I started this experience like 3.5 years ago. So she was like probably 9 or 10 when I had the moment where I knew I needed to change what was happening in my life. I was actually getting out of the shower and my daughter was like, I have a question. I'm like, okay. She comes running in the bathroom. I have a question. I'm like, sure. She said, do they make bras for your back boobs? And I was like, oh, okay.
That's a chick kid for you. It's gonna tell the truth.
I'm like, okay, nope, they don't. So I need to make those disappear.
Yeah.
And so I started, I've always struggled with my weight ever since, puberty and high school. That's always been a hard thing. And I think, of course, mobility is something that struggles. If you don't eat just right, then you gain. And so it's been a constant struggle, but it was like, I gained a bunch of weight in my teen years, and then I could never quite get over the hump to get it off. And then, I was pregnant, and I was so pregnant that I couldn't touch my fingers around my belly. At 9 months, like I was a big mama. And so it was just, I was coming from a place where I was like, I don't know what else to do. So I started talking to a friend of mine who had weight loss surgery and asked her about her experience. And she's loved her experience. So I went and saw a doctor in Salt Lake and said, is this something that I can do in my condition? Is that going to affect it? And he's like, it has nothing to do with this condition. It has to do with this condition. You know, like you have to be mentally prepared for your whole world to be changed. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I can probably handle that. And so over the last 3.5 years, I've lost almost 100 pounds. And I believe that that is why I can physically do the things that I get to do now, because I can transfer easier. I can move around easier. I can bend over and put my shoes on without holding my breath.
Wow. It was gastric sleeve surgery. Is that right?
Yep. I had the gastric sleeve. Yes.
And then did you change your eating habits and things like that as well? You have to, right?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, I mean, you're on a straight liquid diet for the first, few weeks. And then you go to like soft diet, like Jell-O, and you slowly retrain your body, portions and like all the different things that you're allowed to eat. And so even now, if I eat too much, I can feel it in my body that I've just had too much. If I eat the wrong thing, that my body doesn't feel well. And I started looking at food. I mean, I think this has changed a little bit more recently, that I'm starting to appreciate food for fun, but I started to look at food like food is fuel. What do I need to give me the energy I need? What do I need to make sure that I don't pass out or something? And that's what I need it for. Instead, it didn't need to be a social thing. It didn't need to be a fun thing. It didn't need to be a flavor thing. It just needed to be fuel. And now that I feel like I developed that kind of a relationship with food, I'm able to add a little bit more of that fun and flavor and that to it. But mostly I still have to remember, okay, I need to put the important things in my body first. And that doesn't count as wine as much as I want it to. Important things first, then the wine.
I'm Italian, and my whole life has revolved around food in that way. And it's hard to separate the, milestone moments and holidays. Every single thing reminds me of food. Oh, that's lasagna day. It's, seafood day. That everything reminds me of food. So, you're sad, you eat. You're happy, you eat. It's like I started to learn, like, okay, I need to learn how to celebrate with people without it being like, hey, I'm so excited to see you. Let's go out to dinner. Instead, it's like, oh, hey, maybe we could meet up at a coffee shop or something where we can sip tea and enjoy each other's company. And it doesn't have to be gorging ourselves on food, or, like it can be like, come over and sit on my couch and let's chit chat, or, it doesn't have to be based around food. And that was a really hard change that I had to make for a long time. Yeah. Well, that's a thing, right? About habits and things like that. I read this book called Atomic Habits, and it's really good. And I recommend it to anybody that's trying to make a change. Oh, cheers. We're both big tea drinkers over here. So cheers. Cheers. And it's about making those little changes and then creating just new habits for yourself, and sticking with them. And then that becomes that. But now that you have this sort of new fit outlook on life, you're doing so much. So tell us about some of the activities that you've done, some of your favorite ones, or anything that you thought you would never be able to do. Definitely being on the water. I mean, that's been my favorite thing that I've been doing recently is paddleboarding, kayaking, and love kayaking. It's so good for you, and it's so fun, and it's such great exercise that you don't feel like you're doing. Right. But then you're destroyed the next day. I know. Sorry. It's awesome. Sunshine. We're out there. Another fun thing is that I have the tendency to take my chairs. I have a power chair and a manual chair to the limit. I'm like, what can it do now? And so recently I've learned that I can take my power chair in the mountains and on hiking trails, and that's fun. And so that's probably one of my other favorite things is just like, okay, how fast can this go? I mean, I like making people nervous. How fast can this go down this rocky mountain? And watch me. And if I fall, will you pick me up? Yeah. I like a little bit of that adventure. So that's been really fun. This winter, so I tried adaptive skiing when I very first moved to Utah, and I hated it.
but I was a different body type at the time. I was very weak and I couldn't really move myself around. And so it was really difficult. And I think that has a lot to do with why I hated it. So I'm going to try again this winter. Another fun thing I'm going to try in the next month is hunting with Disabled Outdoor Utah. They reached out to me and they're going to take me antelope hunting. So that sounds badass. I like to shoot things. I haven't ever shot an animal, but I am going to try.
I mean, hunting in the woods, it must be so difficult to get around in a wheelchair in the woods because there's trees just lying on the ground.
Mm-hmm. And so I think it's definitely about finding the right place to go, but also like with that track chair, when I took it up, so my boyfriend was hunting elk when I took that track chair up to where he was hunting. And I mean, I was like, okay, can I roll over that boulder? Let's try. I don't know. Can I get down to the river? Let's try. And it did a lot more than I thought that it would.
So cool. Now, do you own one of those track chairs? Is that what your power chairs, or do you rent them, or how do you get those?
So there is a company in Southern Utah called Compassion Mobility. I think they're one of the very few suppliers in the state that are able, and they literally just let you borrow it.
Wow.
Yeah. You want to fly out to Utah and go do badass things with me? Because they let you borrow all the things.
Those places should be all over the place. Just like how
that's what I said.
Bikes or these like bird lime, whatever the hell these things are all over the streets now.
Yeah.
Let us
absolutely.
Play. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, I love this company. They are really cool to work with. They have all kinds of outdoorsy kind of adventure things. And their goal is to just reach. Like, we just want people to know that we're available. Like, come try this. Mm-hmm. There's a kid, I can't remember what the chair is called, but it looks like those beach chairs that, we've used with those giant tires. There's one on the front and one on the back, and it's like a long seat, and they've used it. Have you seen like the mud runs and stuff like that? Mm-hmm. This guy took his son on using that on the mud run. And I'm like, and there was another family that took I don't know if you've ever seen the Narrows in Utah, Southern Utah. They have a hike called the Narrows. It's like a river basically through very beautiful canyons, just covered in rocks, but they took their son through this hike using that chair. And these people will just let you try it.
I like that chair, the narrow one, because it's closer to the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're in the water with it, because I used one in Hawaii once, and you can just kind of pop out, swim a little, pop back in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It feels a little more independent than the big one.
Right.
Less than the track, the tank wheels. But the plus to it over the tank wheels is that you can bring it in the water, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Well, in the tank wheels, I mean, you can take that one in the water up to a certain, like, people will use it for like fly fishing.
Right.
But go all the way. Yeah. But you can't submerge the whole thing. No.
Yeah.
So lots of fun options.
You see, this is what I mean about being inspired by your page, because I'm not going to say it's not in my vocabulary, but it hasn't been big for me. I mean, I was a cheerleader, in high school, and I was like in the plays and social chair of my sorority, and I lived in a dorm, but I think the older I get, the more I'm like, well, there's just certain things I'm not gonna be able to do. But I don't love that because it's like, well, it's like I'm getting older and I'm not seeing much improvement in these areas. So I'm starting to be like, oh, well, never mind. And
I think what's amazing is that it's there. The improvement is there. But like, for example, this company in Southern Utah County, mm-hmm. There's one of these in the state, right? So like, I think the improvements are there, but there's like such a limited amount that people don't know that it's there and they don't know where to look.
Yes, I know. And you would think with the internet and everything that it would be easy to find all this stuff, but it's really not.
You got to dig.
Because sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for.
Exactly. You're just hoping that you'll happen upon something, which
Mhm.
is another reason why I love using those. I feel like everywhere that I've gone, using something unique. Like, for example, we went to the beach and I mean, we're cruising down the beach and I couldn't tell you how many families stopped and like, where did you get that? How do I get my friend
already knew
here?
what you were going to say, because it's exactly what I, right. And it's like such a great, you feel like, wow, not only am I having a great day out, but I'm helping other people.
All these people. Yeah.
And
It's
then people are like,
amazing.
I'm going to bring my dad here, right? They say,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Because how would they know? I mean, I've been on that chair in Santa Monica, and I've had people who live in Santa Monica be like, excuse me, what is that? And I'm like, it's a beach, you know, whatever. Oh my God, I'm going to bring my niece here. I had no idea. I'm like, they live here and they didn't know about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And that's, I mean, it happens, you know, when I go to California, it happens here in Utah. I mean, when I was up, you know, at camping and I had people stopping and being like, what the hell kind of chair is that?
When you were camping, which chair did you use?
It was when I was up at elk camp with my boyfriend. I was with the track chair and we had a side-by-side that also had hand controls and that the track chair could roll up into, and I could take it up the mountain and then go cruise around. And so we called it the limo because the side-by-side was extended so that the chairs could fit in it and we could have people in the back row. And so people were just like, what is this big side-by-side with this ginormous wheelchair? And it's like, this is how I'm going to go cruise in the mountains today.
That's so cool. And did I see when you went camping, you had a tent, but it was not on the ground, right? What was it? On the back of a truck or something? What was it on?
Yeah. So my boyfriend has a truck tent. So it just fits over the bed of his truck. And that was really fun to try. I am going to be trying a couple of different styles of tents just to see, trying to find the right one for me to be able to camp independently. But I do love the truck tent for just like a quick pop-up overnight. You know, it's really fun to just, you know, set it up, throw a mattress in the back of the truck and that's fun.
Wow. It's so cool. Everything you're saying is so cool. Okay, wait, you've mentioned your boyfriend a few times, so I want to talk about that. How long have you been dating?
A little over a year.
Okay. And how did you meet?
Tinder. Hashtag Tinder.
So now we have to talk about that because it's very interesting to me. So, because I'm on some of the apps too, you know, and I don't love them, but
no,
these are the times. So how was that? How was it, the whole, you know, how long were you on the apps, first of all?
I was on for a day. And I started talking to him and a couple of other guys. I went on a couple of dates. I met him and I was like basically after I met a couple of guys on there, I was like, this app is stupid. I don't want to talk to people. Men are ridiculous. And went on a few dates, was talking to a couple people. Then when I met him, I was like, you're adorable. I'm keeping you.
Oh my God, a day? That's,
yeah.
I'm even more jealous. I mean, because, you know, it's like.
But that's not the first time I was on dating apps. Like I've been on dating apps before and just dealt with the ridiculousness. And I think that's why when I got on again, I was like, oh yeah, I don't like this. This is not fun. Yeah.
Because you get weirdos or people, I shouldn't call them weirdos, but you have people who ask you about the disability off the bat, right? Or like what kind of.
Right. And I was always upfront, you know, I try to make sure this is really obvious. But yeah, people ask it usually has to do with sex, weird questions. And I'm like, listen, how about you ask me about like what kind of dog I like before you ask me about the other things.
That's exactly what I would do. When someone asks me a sex question off the bat, I'm like, I'm like, Rutgers. Oh, you don't care what college you have no questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's like, I wonder, I don't know. Are they asking every girl they message, hey, what do you like in bed? Because I doubt it.
No.
That
No, I don't think so. I think that it's more like, I mean, I think I don't know. I think able-bodied people sometimes wonder if that's even an option for people that are in wheelchairs, right? It's curiosity.
Yes,
but at the same time, I can't imagine being like, hi, my name's Carrie. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. So do you have sex? To anyone?
I know.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So you've been together now for a year, and it's going, and not to mention, you didn't just come with the disability, you also came with a child, right? So,
yeah.
Yep. Which, I mean, it depends. For some people, it's baggage. For some people, it's great. Like right now, for me, whenever I see a guy who has a child on the app, I'm like, ooh, like that's like a plus for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah. What you're looking for. But how is he with that? Is he a good, fun?
He's an amazing dad. He has 4 kids himself. He has a son and 3 daughters. And so I think my daughter was just like, yeah, the more the merrier. Come on in. He's been fantastic with her, and super sweet, super kind to her, and they all get along great. And so, yeah.
Are any of his kids around your daughter's age?
Yeah. So he has 14, 16, and a 20-year-old, and then a 22-year-old son.
Oh,
so
that's so fun.
Yeah.
I feel like you really are doing everything right. Like you had your kid, you said like a little bit early, but now you have this like great friend, and now you have this boyfriend, and like he has his kids, but so you guys are all doing fun activities. Man, you're just like doing life right. I really think
life is good. I have a really good life.
You do. You really do. And you sort of show people through Instagram. What made you want to start, documenting your life?
I think it was like, I felt like I wanted to show people how I do things, because I was wondering how other people do things. So I was like, okay, well, I feel like it's not fair. I'll show you mine if you show me yours, like kind of thing. Like I know that there's so many things that I wish that I saw someone else do first, so I could have an idea instead of guessing. And so I think that it was like, okay, I really want to find my community. And now that social media is really big, it's like, okay, how do I find my community here? And that was, up until Instagram, like this Instagram, I had never really met anybody else with my condition. I met one person at a pub in Amsterdam when I was 23, and he happened to have arthrogryposis too. He was on crutches. And then after that, I ended up hooking up with a bunch of people on Instagram, and then they do what's that called? Like an awareness every summer. It's called AMC Road to Awareness, where this amazing woman, Misha, who has arthrogryposis, and her husband pick an area of the world and drive a car across that area to meet all the families of AMCers. And so when I heard she was possibly coming through Utah, I'm like, tell me where, I want to meet you, because I didn't know anybody else. And now I'm connected to a ton of people with AMC. So
cool.
Yeah.
And so you said that the other guy was on crutches, the one in Amsterdam. So I saw also that you've been sort of walking on, the thing I saw, it was a
anti-gravity machine.
Treadmill. Yeah. That's so cool.
So cool. It was, so cool. I happened upon this physical therapist that actually is like a block away from my house. I called and I asked if they wanted to help me figure out how to walk. I got leg braces, and I was like, do you guys want to try to help me do this? And they were like, sure. So I showed up and they're like, can we put you on this machine and see what happens? I was like, hell yeah, you can. So it was like almost like biker shorts with a tutu, and the tutu had a zipper on the outside, and they zipped me into the thing and they filled it up with air. And then they just let me walk on this treadmill. And it was like, I didn't have to hold my body up at all. I just got to learn the feeling of like moving my legs. And he would tell me like, okay, your feet are kind of, facing the wrong way. Try to turn your hips in, or and just so that I could get the feel of how it was supposed to be. And that was, it was wicked cool. I loved it.
Now, are you walking, trying to independently walk, or trying to be able to walk with crutches, or just
No,
give your
it's more of like, I mean, I would love to get to the point where I could do some things just walking, right? Like it would be way easier to get in and out of the car standing up and not getting my chair in and out. But also there are places that it would be way too hard to walk around, right? It's much easier to roll around. So I think it's just kind of this idea of like, I just want options. I have a power chair, I have a manual chair, I have leg braces. Like I want to pick what I'm doing.
Right. Because you were in your 20s when you realized or learned how to put your wheelchair in the car this way, right?
Yeah.
See, I also, when I started, I don't know what you were doing before that. When I started driving, I had a van, like a minivan, and I went up and down the ramp because otherwise if I was in a car, I did have a car for like a few months, and I just had to have other people put my chair in, because like you were saying, nobody had ever taught me or told me how to put the wheelchair in. And you know, when I got my license, Google wasn't even a thing, YouTube wasn't a thing, and I'm sorry, but my encyclopedia didn't have, you know, getting in a car in your wheelchair. So how was I supposed to know? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what? But now you do it and you think it's easy. You're fine with it.
Yeah. So now it's like, I mean, I feel like I can do it without even thinking about it. I mean, there's definitely days where I'm like, listen, I don't feel like doing that one more time today. But I mean, I think that's typical for any mom who doesn't feel like getting in and out of the car with all the things one more time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool when I first learned how, you know, that I could drive. And then when I first learned that I could drive alone, because I never had a van. I learned to be a loud person. I would be like, hey, excuse me, I'm going somewhere. Can you do this for me? They'd come over and do it. And then I would get to where I was going and hope that somebody was outside and be like, hey, you get to help me get out of my car. Yay.
Hey, yeah. That's cool. So then what made you finally transition to doing it yourself?
So when you get a new chair and you have to be like, physical therapist has to say like, okay, this is what you need, like for your insurance. The physical therapist was like, okay, so when you get your chair in and out of your car by yourself, do you do it this way? And I was like, let's back up. I can do this by myself.
Right.
She's like, let's go outside right now. I'm like, okay. And she was like, try this. And she was probably outside with me for a good hour and a half, getting my chair in and out a few times before she was like, ta-da, you can do this by yourself. Let me get you a lighter chair because yours is wicked heavy, but you can totally do this by yourself. And it was like, I wanted to drive everywhere. Bye, everybody. I'm going alone.
Yeah. So now what kind of car do you drive?
So now I actually just bought my grandma's car. I drive a Buick LeSabre. Okay. 2000.
And you just throw your chair in.
Yep. It's got a bench seat. So that's actually something that I didn't realize would be amazing, having a bench seat, just because there's nothing in the way. The center console's not in my way. All the things. There's so much space. Grandma cars are definitely underrated. There's so much space.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Then we call it the boat because I really feel like I'm driving a boat, but there's so much room.
Yeah, you need a lot of room. And you also just recently, were volunteering building beds, right?
Yes. So my boyfriend is co-chapter president of a charity called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. Basically a guy in Idaho, he knew there was a need around Christmas time for kids in his area that didn't have a bed to sleep on. So him and his kids built some beds. And when they did that, then they realized another person was like, well, can you build me a bed? And it started this thing, right? And then it's turned into this nationwide charity where we build beds for kids all over that don't have their own beds. They're sleeping on floors. They're sleeping on piles of clothes. They're, sharing beds with their parents. And so we get people to help us build them and we get people to help us deliver them. And I mean, right now, we cover, 40 miles and we have over 100 applications for kids that don't have beds. So it's amazing. It's amazing to be a part of, but it's crazy that many kids don't have that luxury. Cause you think about it all the time, like just crawl. I love my bed.
I know.
I can't imagine not having one. My kid loves her bed. She's in it all the time. And, but it's a luxury you don't think about that kids don't have, even around the corner from me. I'm sure there are kids that are waiting and hoping for a bed. So it's a really cool thing that I get to be a part of.
All of this, activities, mom, volunteering, and you have a job.
Yep.
You have like a real job as a human resources coordinator at a hospital, right?
Yes. I work at Lakeview Hospital in Bountiful.
How do you have time for a job? Oh my God. So do you like working in a hospital? Do you feel at home there? Or you don't feel, what do you feel like?
So I've worked for this company, HCA, for 6 years. I started out at this hospital and then I transferred to more of a billing position. And as soon as I left the hospital, I knew I needed to get back. I love working at this hospital. It's a small town hospital. It's not huge. And the community there is just like family. Everybody roots for everybody. Everybody supports everybody. I'm friends with the CEO. It's awesome how cool this hospital is. And especially like right now, working with these incredible nurses and, all the staff and seeing how everybody's working together underneath such stressful times and all of that. So it's an amazing experience.
Well, I'm sure that you provide really just invaluable. Of course, just the fact that you have real life experience in that setting must just make you even better at your job, right?
I think so. Like, I always think when I'm interviewing nurses, like, who's the kind of nurse that I would want to be in my room?
Yes, that's great. That's so important. And we need people who have experience with nurses, interviewing the nurses, please, because everybody who's spent any time in a hospital knows that there's always that one freaking nurse, right?
Mm-hmm. And there always will be, right? There's always the one. But my goal is, I feel like with my staff and the people that I work with, I couldn't tell you who that one is.
Well, that's great because most of them are angels, and most healthcare, a lot of nurses we love them. I keep in touch with some I had when I was 6. I keep in touch with some I had, when I was a teenager. Like, we love most of them, but there's always that friggin' one. The one always. That's like, oh, please don't let her be on tonight. Please don't let her. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for validating that for me.
Absolutely.
Listen, we're to the end of our show here, which is just always tricks me because I'm always like, okay, we have a half hour left, but we don't. We're at the end. We packed in so much. I feel like we got to like almost everything I wanted to talk to, which is great. I know you already know this, but I just think you have such a cool life. I just love it.
Thank you.
You're doing everything. I really honestly would love to come out and visit sometime and have you take me on some of these excursions because
listen, I have a guest room. There's room.
A guest room in an accessible house, please. Right? That would
show up.
And I feel like I'd be in good hands. I have to tell you, I'm not quite as fearless as you, so I won't be.
I can be gentle.
Okay, good. Thank you. But we'll have to do that. And I've always wanted to go to Utah too, and now I have like a great excuse. So that's
absolutely
so cool. Thank you so much for being here. We'll keep in touch. I hope everybody, got something from this. I think I really don't see how they couldn't in one area or another. You know what I mean? You just you've got it all covered. And also one day on Tinder, what the hell? It's not right. It's not right.
It was lucky. I got lucky.
Who says you can't have it all, right? Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Don't forget to follow Carrie on all the socials. get_a_grip_sis. And that's her Instagram handle. And is that also your TikTok?
It's Carrie Knutson. It's my TikTok, but it's also my Facebook is Getagripsis.
Okay.
So Yep.
Go out and follow Carrie, and also you can follow me at Santina Muha, and you can also follow Outside in Theater on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Outside in Theater, THTR, to keep track of everything going on at Outside in Theater. Thank you, everyone, as always, and we will see you next time on Rollin' with My Homies.
Thank you.